If you ran ads for motivated sellers and you walked away calling it a waste of money, I want you to think about why you actually quit. Was it because the ads didn't generate any leads? Was it because the ads didn't generate any contracts? Or was it because the cash in your bank didn't show up at the timeline you had set in your head? Because those two are very different things. And almost everyone blames the first one when it's actually the second one. Wholesaling isn't a job where you get paid when you sign the contract. There's a contract, there's a buyer, there's a closing date, and there's a million headaches in the middle. And this whole journey can sometimes take anywhere from 60 to 90 days, not just a couple of days or a couple of weeks. Today, I'm going to break down the real reason why paid ads fail for most wholesalers, and it has nothing to do with the platform. And I'm going to show you the correct way to run paid advertising if you're on a limited marketing budget. Alrighty, let's get into it. The real reason your paid ads never work. And again, like I said, it's not the platform, it's not the offer, it's something a lot less exciting. And the good news is it's actually really easy to fix. Now, this is going to sound super mean, but you didn't fail at advertising, you failed at doing math. Specifically, the math on how long it actually takes to turn ad spend into cash sitting in your bank. Most wholesalers who quit paid ads didn't quit because the ads didn't work. They quit because the money didn't show up on the timeline they invented in their head. Now, I need you to understand that the wholesaling business, either you're doing wholesaling, innovation, flips, whatever it might be, this business model has a really, really long cash conversion cycle. So if you're going in with a set marketing budget and you're giving yourself a 45-day timeline or a 60-day timeline to essentially make the money back and then reinvest it, and it's like your last string of hope, that's 90% of the reason why your paid advertising doesn't work. Because instead of being systematic about things and instead of being super programmatic about things, you start making decisions out of a place of emotion. Because the wholesaling business is not at all quick cash. Sometimes deals take 60, 90, sometimes even more to close because there's title issues, there's sellers backing out, there's finding the buyers, there's a million things that go into it. It's not just as simple as finding somebody who's willing to sell below retail value and just getting them under contract. Getting them under contract is essentially where the real work begins. So just to kind of expand on that, you're not a contractor and your money doesn't move like a contractor does. I'm just using contractor for an example. It can be any local business. It can be a plumber, a medical clinic, it can be an electrician. But if you have a business model like that, where you get the job and the client pays you, you make your money back instantly. And it's completely reasonable to expect that money back inside like a 30-day or 60-day window. And that's the model most people unconsciously import into wholesaling. And it's the complete wrong model. And I recommend if you're going to be doing paid advertising, you shouldn't have a sum of money saved up that you're looking to invest and make back within like a 2 month window. I recommend that you have a consistent flow of deals coming in from some other channel. So you have a monthly marketing budget so you can at least invest 3, 4, 5, 6 months into it so that whatever deals you're getting under contract, you're giving it enough time to actually turn into a wholesaling assignment or turn into cash in the bank so that you don't end up making a rash decision just to make your money back and kind of see if your ads are working. I'm sure most of you already know this, but what the cycle actually looks like is you get the seller under contract, you find the buyer, or you list it on Zillow if you're doing innovation, you close it, and the cash finally lands. It's not a get lead, get paid. It's three separate processes stacked on top of each other. While getting it under contract might be the easy part and it might be the lifeline for you to actually like see if the marketing's working, the actual money isn't actually closing and funding the deal. So you got to be patient about it. And 30 days into it, 60 days into it, you can't just shut down the whole marketing operation just because you didn't make the money back. Even if you have deals under contract, that's enough for you to know that, okay, this is a system that produces viable results, but I need to figure out a way to keep it running while these current deals are closing. Because if you don't leave it running, then your ROAS in the long run, in the 3 to 6 month run, is going to be totally destroyed. And again, these are just three core steps to actually closing a deal. But we all know in the middle, there's like 1,000 headaches that we need to deal with, like title issues, getting sellers to actually commit, because sometimes getting them under contract isn't the only thing. It's actually finding the buyer and a million things that go into it. So you need to keep all of those in mind. And you need to make sure that even if you get a deal the first month or the first week, like it might be 3 months before you can actually turn that deal into money in your bank. So the mindset of I'll spend $5,000 this month and make it back by day 45 is the worst mindset you can have. And some people can genuinely pull this off, and some of my own clients have pulled it off, but it's not typical. It's not the expectation you should set in your head. Whether it's $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, in that first 30 days, the expectations that it converts into a liquid cash deal almost as fast as you spend it is the single most common reason people call paid ads a waste of money. When the deal was often still alive, just not finished yet. You just hadn't turned it into a closed and funded deal. Now, going into common mistakes, mistake number one is spending the whole budget in month one. If you set yourself a budget for paid ads, it's almost always better to spread it across 3 to 6 months than to compress it into 1 to 2. The cash conversion cycle is simply too long for a 30 to 60 day sprint to tell you anything meaningful. So if you have 10 grand sitting in the bank and that's all the money you have to actually invest into marketing, please don't go running after quick dopamine hits and actually give it time. So instead of doing it across 1 to 2 months, I recommend you break it down across 4 months or 6 months. That way, you can keep in mind the cash conversion cycle and you're not out of your marketing budget within the first 45 to 60 days of actually running the campaign. So, you're not spending less money, you're just giving each dollar enough runway to actually complete the cycle, which is lead, contract, buyer, and then close deal. And then you can judge the campaign at month 4 and 5, not day 30. Now, that does not mean that you don't do micro judgments on the campaign itself for things like cost per lead or cost per contract. But the metric that I'm talking about is return on ad spend, which is usually the metric that people use to determine if a campaign was ultimately successful or not. Now, mistake number two is too much budget too fast, which means too many leads too fast. When people overspend in month one, they don't just burn cash faster, they flood themselves with leads. And the assumption underneath is people assume incoming leads are simple to handle. And the truth is, they're not. They're motivated, they know what they want, they're distressed. But if you don't know how to sell and you're flooded with like 5 leads a day and you don't have a team, you're just not going to be doing justice to every lead that's coming in. You're going to be overwhelmed. You're not going to be able to keep up with all of the traffic that's coming in. You're not going to be able to do all the follow ups. And ultimately, your metrics are going to decrease, believe it or not. So, like I said, if you're switching from cold calling and you've had some success and you close a few deals and you have like a budget that you want to spend on paid ads, I would always recommend break it across 4 to 6 months or even 3 months, but don't spend it all in a month or 2 months. For the love of God, don't do that. It's going to be too many leads for you to handle. And then mistake number one, the cash conversion cycle is going to be too long for you to actually get liquid and have a return on ad spend. You end up getting more leads than you can actually follow up on. Every single lead needs a real follow up, multiple touches, real attention, real persistence. When too many leads land at once, you can't give every single one of them your full effort. The result is a worse lead to contract conversion percentage than you'd get with smaller but more manageable volume. Now, going to mistake number three, which honestly I think is one of the bigger mistakes that people do, is testing every channel at once and calling it a strategy. I know that people love to justify this by saying it's not good to put all of your eggs in one basket, but you're not Elon Musk. You don't have close to infinite resources. You don't have a lot of marketing budget. This is the other side of the same coin. People test lead generation methods for a month or 45 days and decide we're going to run several marketing channels and see which one performs best. And it sounds thorough, but it's actually the surest way to make sure that none of them end up working. And this is what people do. They book calls with agencies, split budget across, Facebook, PPC, YouTube, pay per lead, maybe another channel. They wait 30 to 45 days and then they compare results to pick a winner. And every one of those channel gets a fractional capital, fraction of the attention, and fraction of the time it actually needs, which means every one of them gets evaluated before it ever even had a real chance. Truth is, every marketing channel works eventually. Facebook ads, PPC, whatever you choose, the truth is every channel can get you to a minimum of 3 to 4x return on what you're putting in. But none of them do that right off the get-go. It takes around 3 to 4 months, sometimes 6, for an ad account to actually be warmed up and reach anywhere near its ceiling, which is typically anywhere from 8 to 12x return on whatever you're putting in. Again, booking calls with 5 agencies, running 5 small tests, dividing your capital between a few different platforms. It feels productive. It feels like you're doing your homework, but none of those accounts ever reach their maximum potential because you keep dividing your capital, your attention, your time, and your energy across all of them at once. And you keep turning them on and turning them off. That's the biggest mistake you can make. You need to give time and attention to one platform for it to really compound the maximum results it can give you. Researching feels like progress, implementation is progress. So the actual lesson here is spread your budget across 3 to 6 months, not 1 to 2. Trust me on this. I know it feels like, oh, I'm gonna put 5 grand or 10 grand in the first month and I'm gonna make my money back and I'll be rich. I know that dopamine hit feels absolutely amazing, but please, if you have limited budget, spread it across 3 to 6 months, not 1 to 2 months. Secondly, size your lead volume to your follow up capacity, not your budget. Don't be egotistical. You need to make sure that you're giving enough attention to every lead that comes in. And then number three is pick one channel and let it warm up 3 to 4 months minimum before any platform shows you what it can actually do. So, TLDR, stop chasing dopamine, be programmatic about your marketing. With that said, that's pretty much it. It's kind of a breakdown of why I typically see ad accounts failing and wholesalers determining that paid advertising doesn't work when there's thousands of wholesalers making a bank with paid ads. If you want more videos like this, be sure to subscribe to my channel. If you want me or my team to build the marketing system that we use for our clients that gets them anywhere from a 5 to 6x return on average, click the link below, book a call, and we'll see you on the other side.